Hello, family. Welcome back to my channel. I am your host, Mickey, and I got my co-host, this is B. And we have a special guest, Marie Ashley Hall. She is a longtime friend. She is my second lock consultant, and she is also the creator of my logo, Pretty Locks Rock.
Yay.
Welcome.
Thank
Also,
you.
Also, Marie Ash Natural Hair. She's a certified Sisterlock licensed cosmetologist, educator, and creator of the satin bonnet and scarf. Girl, you the GOAT. You are the GOAT. So Ashley we met back in 2017. You were my second loctician to color my hair. Remember, it was bronze.
I remember. Yeah.
And that was my first bob cut. And girl, I have gotten so many compliments on that cut. So today I still keep the cut up. But
Yes.
yes. So do you remember? So when we met back in 2017, I called you frantically saying, can you take me and my girlfriend because our loctician stopped doing hair?
I remember that. I remember.
Right. So, okay, so let's start here. So we got questions and I know you got the answers. So we want to start a discussion on Sisterlocks versus MICROLOCKS versus interlocks. So before we get into that discussion, I want you to give a little background on yourself, when you started, what type hair you do, and where you're located.
Okay. Thank you, everybody, for having me here on your show. I'm so excited. So I'm from Cleveland, Ohio, originally, and in 2012, I decided to go to hair school. So I always done hair, on the side. I always done, just a bunch of different stuff, trying to find my niche. So hair just seemed to where it fell at. And so when me and my boyfriend at the time, we decided to move to another location, which was North Carolina. In order for me to do that and pursue my hair career, I needed to have, the credentials to do so. So I got my hair license, graduated from hair school in 2013, and then about that September, we hit the road and moved to Charlotte. It was a little rough at first, just not knowing too many people. We do have family here in Indian Trail, but not knowing too many people and trying to build a community and build clientele in a place you're really unfamiliar with, not knowing anyone, being homesick. That was a struggle for me. So I kind of did everything. I started doing I was selling candles. I was, you name it, I was doing it. I was selling weight loss tea. I was doing sewing braids. I was doing, I started at a salon, and I remember in that first 2 weeks, I made $50. Just, it's like, how do you survive off of that? So I'm like, okay, a change have to happen. And that was on a whole nother side of town than what I was used to. So I met with a company, my children's father introduced me to a company that I first started working at, where they mentored me. I was able to specialize in natural hair, do sewings, learn twists, and, learn braids. Those are the things I was good at already. But then the lady that owned the shop, she was always fast. I'm like, what are you doing? She was like, these are Sisterlocks. You want to do it? I was like, no, I don't want to do that. Like, that don't look like something. It's not. I don't. It wasn't a thing in Cleveland. Like, we're from wigs, we're from quick weaves and ponytails. That's things that what I'm used to. So, to be introduced to something new, you're just like, But I'm crafty, right? I know how to pick up a ball of yarn and crochet and do something like that. The more I watched her, I was like, I can do this. The creative side of me was like, I can do this. This is cool. This is a new way to have your hair done. I kept hearing the saying, get up and go. I'm like, whoa, this is a style you can invest in, and people can get up and go and just move freely. I think I want a part of this. So I took the class back in 2015 in Raleigh, North Carolina. I always say the name wrong. Raleigh, North Carolina. I went down there and I took the class. It was a 4-day class. And, after that, having the opportunity to work for a company that already had an overflow of clientele. And I just started from there. I mean, I wasn't always fast at what I did, but, I had to go through a couple of you know, rough heads to get to where I am now. And I was doing retightening for about 8 hours, 10 hours, and eventually I got faster. But then the economy has changed, and now I only knew about Sisterlocks, right?
Mm-hmm.
So now years later, introduce other things like the MICROLOCKS. So I got into it just loving hair, and I start creating different stuff. I have two wonderful daughters. So yeah, I'm just happy to be on you guys' show. I hope I didn't scramble too much, but that's pretty much how I got to where I am now. And I'm on my own. I have a salon, where I mentor other women to help them grow. That's just things that I like to do. So I started doing hair on my own to pursue my own business and my own passion for hair. But now I want to give back to other women that's starting out from hair school or starting out from nothing and then trying to figure out how can they get into the industry of just doing hair. So that's where I am now. That's where I'm trying to do, is just kind of help other young women or even older women, whoever is trying to find their purpose, whether it's in locks, whether it's in natural hair, or just even build a clientele. I think I have a purpose for and a passion to help women today to be great at what they do, just as I've been helped. So yeah, that's pretty much.
Yeah.
Hope I didn't scramble too much.
No, that was perfect. Look how full her hair is. Look at that. It's beautiful. So, all right. So, what is the big deal between Sisterlocks versus Interlocks versus MICROLOCKS? What's the difference? What's the cost? What's the maintenance? What is the difference?
I would say, being a Sisterlock consultant, the biggest difference between the two is, well, for me as a licensed cosmetologist, I focus on the natural health of the hair, right? Being a Sisterlock consultant is more so I signed into that technique, with the grid and then the parting system, making sure everything's in order, just being part of that brand. But then you want to get on to the other part of it where I do have ladies that come in that may be going through a lot of hormonal changes, right?
Mm-hmm.
To where if they wanted to get Sisterlocks, but the parting size don't align with their situation of their just personal growth. And as women, we go through so many changes, right? We go through hormonal changes. I've been a woman who never lost my hair, but having two children back to back, I've lost my edges. So my hair grew back, but some women don't experience that hair growth back. So we have to alter the sizes to make them a little larger, which exceeds the standard. I would say personally extends the size standards of what the Sisterlock standard would be. Now, outside of what other people are doing, I would say the difference outside of people doing them at home and stuff like that, it's just people seeing a technique, they want a piece of that technique, and they're creating that technique in several different ways. You can start with 2-strand twist. You cannot start with Sisterlocks. You can start with interlock method, which is similar to something what we do. And you can also start with braids, right? Mm-hmm. So those distinguish all from Sisterlocks, but you can still get the same kind of look, mm-hmm. but you can do it in different techniques. So I think that would be the two. Sometimes the cost can range from very similar to less, So it's a lot of hit or miss, because you have people that's doing it that know what they're doing, and then you have people just creating if you know how to braid, then they know how to lock. So, if that makes sense to you. If that, So that's what I would say. So it can range from anywhere. Sisterlocks can range anywhere from $500 all the way to $2,000 and up. And then MICROLOCKS can start a little lower and still go all the way up, because with MICROLOCKS you can get extensions in your hair, right? People are doing lock extensions. Mm-hmm. It wasn't really trained to do extensions with Sisterlocks, and if you did it, then it's really not consider that. You're altering, you're trying to deviate from different things, and then you're adding your own touch to it. So you can't put that name on. You have to call it for what it is. You have braids in your hair, you want to call them Sister locks or not sister locks. You want to call them micro locks, you can do that. You want to call them braid locks, you can do that. But I would say the difference is the technique, the size, and sometimes the cost, and who's doing it too.
Oh, okay. Okay. So what's the most requested lock?
I think both, but I'm seeing more people are getting the micro locks.
Because
I do, yeah, because of the cost. I think because of the cost and because of people having that fear of having them too small. You know, some women hear horror stories, and then YouTube University is changing the game too. You hear people talking about stuff, and they're like, "Wait, I don't want that to happen to me." You hear success stories, and then you hear horror stories. So, a lot of people are leaning more toward that. Sometimes, let me say sometimes, because I still get a lot of sister lock clients, but some people have that fear of they know that their life and hormones are changing, or they're going through depression, or they're going through stress, mental health. Some people even have COVID hair loss. That might take a toll. I never even heard of it before until I start seeing people experience these things. And because people are experiencing these things, they may want locks, but sister locks might not be for them. But that does not mean that's your only option. I just would not recommend this to you, but I might say, hey, let's go up a little size and maybe you can get micro locks, right?
mm-hmm.
So, like I said, I care about the health of the hair, and I want to be able to give people those options. But you just have to call it for what it is,
Mm-hmm. And it's a 6 weeks maintenance, like a retime.
I do every 5 weeks starting out, and if your hair, don't grow as fast, or you need to make any alterations as far as if your hair do grow faster in those, that time, or don't grow as fast, then we can go push it out, So, yeah,
They have
about
to braid and band.
5. I still tell them to treat it less is best. That's what I tell them. You do less to your hair, that's the best results. Because once you start getting into doing too much, even with traditional locks, I tell people you don't have to put all that stuff in your hair for it to be, at its best. So it's a lot of myths out here, but I tell them less is best. You don't have to oil scalp every day. I tell them don't even do it. Don't do it until you get to a mature state. You can't really scrub and shampoo all that stuff out. If you do, then you're washing your locks out. So I just tell them to be careful. Be
Yeah.
careful. These are your babies. You're birthing them. This is going to be a whole new investment for you. Rather whatever route you go through, you have to take care of them. So,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
yeah.
I'll let you jump in there, Miss B. I know I'm trying to take over. Sorry.
So you were talking about like the health, the hair, and the locks. Can you talk about problems that you've seen with people who don't take care of locks? So I know people
Mm-hmm.
experience like bunching. And can you talk about holes in locks? I've heard people talk about having holes in their locks. Can you talk about what that is and what causes it? Is it on the client's end or the consultant's end? Like
It's
what
kind of hard to say because different people hair textures are different, and sometimes we don't really necessarily know what people do outside of your care. But then I also think, just from experience and me learning, you have to go through a couple falls to get to a good standing point. I know for me, I had a few clients who had really soft texture, and then sometimes it created, when you're doing a rotation, maybe it created uh, a few little holes in there. But then there was sometimes, maybe if you're going too fast and then you miss a rotation too many times, it could create little holes, and then they can cause breakage in your hair. So I guess as a consultant, those are things I've learned, and I've seen different, because I'm not perfect, right? So I've learned and I've seen different phases of where it could be the texture of a client's hair to down to the consultant or the person doing your hair too, doing too many of the same rotations, which can cause breakage in the client's hair. So, and
So
then you can't fix it.
will it still lock with the hole in the hair though?
You will need to fix it, and it will probably need to be addressed. With
Mm.
your person who's doing your hair. So, yeah.
Okay. Let's talk about my favorite thing to do since I am newly locked. I'm on my 6th month. My favorite thing to do is braid and band. Not really. You know, I hate it. I hate it, but I've learned how to maneuver through it. And now I love the results of the braiding and banding, especially when I go for my retie and then the end result. I love that because it gives it a little more body. But can you tell why is that, like what happens, or why is that suggested to braid and band the hair?
I think it's important. These are just special things you can take to protect your hair and keep it safe. And as far as unraveling, because some people do a lot of heavy water pressure. I even tell them, when you go home, treat it like your baby, do a gentle shampoo. You don't want to do vigorously on the scalp and just taking all your frustrations on your head. You're itching all week, you're like, I'm about to get the best shampoo of my life. You don't want to do that, especially starting out. So braiding and banding is very important, especially with the Sisterlock community, because if you braid and band and you're shampooing, you're protecting your hair from unraveling, right? So, and then if you don't braid and band, you will have, I can kind of see it when a client comes in and they're experiencing a lot of fuzziness on their ends, or it looks like visually when they're walking in, or a new client come in from a transfer and they come in, I'm looking like, do they even have locks in their hair? It don't look like they have locks in their hair because their hair just look blown out. And then I sit and I go to the foundation, they have parting, but either they have one, too much water spraying on their hair, or two, they don't braid and band. So if they don't braid and band too much, what I have found personally in my experience with hair is either it's loose ends. And if it don't get prepared later on, then you go into the phase of those ends being swelled, and then they're locking like that, and then they're thick at the ends. It don't properly do what it needs to do. If you know what I'm saying, because sometimes I retighten somebody here and it can't get through because their ends were so loose for so long, it just locked like that, almost like a traditional lock. So if you don't braid and band later on, it can harm you, or you will always just be walking around with an afro at the end of your
MICROLOCks. Yep.
So you kind of need to, as they say, trust the process, yes. Trust your consultant too. If it's a good one, listen. Sometimes you have to, most of the times you have to listen. It's like a relationship. We have to go through this phase together. We give you these brands, we give you this starter kit for a reason. Use it when you get home. This is your self-care process. I'm doing my process by educating you how to take care of your hair. It is important to braid and band. The shampoo you use, everything you do in those phases are important, So braid and band is very important.
And I know, and I do it as much as I hate it, I still do it. The other thing is, why is it suggested, or is you're told not to dye your hair for a year? What interference does dyeing your hair cause?
So I tell my clients 6 months to a year. Sometimes people don't even make it. Sometimes people don't even that year. It's like, okay, it's my year mark, and I look at their hair and I'm like, nope, still not time. So I say, it's the hair texture, and with hair color, it softens your hair, because it's a chemical, right? So if it softens your hair and your hair is not fully locked, it's not fully matured, it's just going to unravel it. It's going to make it softer. It's almost like it's reverting the process over. And now it's more trouble for you because you're not getting the look that you want. Probably more costly because your consultant have to replace locks at this point. So it's recommended that you don't do those things right away, because those are things that you can run into. So I don't suggest it. So if a client come in and some people go to the intent of, my hands are black when I'm doing the hair, because I'm like, okay, what you do? Well, it was this eyeliner pencil that I had. No. But you still gotta roughly wash that out, right? So you just I've seen it all. I mean, I haven't experienced the gray yet, but it's a real thing. So I try to be lenient with people, but so color, I would say, is soft. It has a process of softening the hair to where it can not take a good effect on your locks. So that's why we don't suggest it. Almost the same as oil.
Okay, that makes sense. And the last thing I want to know about, and these are things that I've heard people talk about and I've seen just in looking that I never got any real like information on. What is a pregnant lock? And what's the problem with the pregnant lock?
What?
Yeah, I heard that.
That might be a new one for me. So when I hear pregnant lock, I'm hearing a lock that's in like really thick at the end, or is it another lock that's jointed with another lock? Like,
okay.
Pregnant.
What have you heard about these pregnant locks?
I think I was just like watching something and she was like, I don't want, let me fix this because the last thing you want is a pregnant lock. It was something I was watching. So I couldn't ask the person the question, so
yeah.
I was like,
what did it look like?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pregnant lock.
You think maybe it has maybe a bump in the middle? Because when you're pregnant, I don't know.
Really? Yeah, it's logical.
Yeah,
logical.
Maybe it's something that has to be taken out or not. I don't know. It was something. Hey, I asked the questions.
Oh, it's okay. It's okay. I have not heard of that term yet, but if I run into it, I'm going to be sure to say, hey, can you elaborate on that real quick? I'm not.
If I hear it again, or if I know I come across it, we can
probably bring it back. Yeah.
Come back.
That's interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
We come up with our own terms, when we're doing hair. You'd be like, when people get in there, I'm going through the hair and I'm like, you got these little spider webs, not necessarily real spider webs, but your hair all tangled together at the root. So, you're pulling apart and they're like, it's another strand of hair into the other hair.
Oh my gosh, that is crazy.
Oh yeah.
You have any more?
Oh, that was it. That was the last one for me.
Okay. Well, family, you heard it here first. Ashley Marie Hall, thank you so much for coming and blessing us and educating us. Mm-hmm. I feel extremely knowledgeable now.
Yeah.
So that I know the difference between all of these locks, Sisterlocks, MICROLOCKS, INTERLOCKS. So I will link your Instagram and YouTube in the description box.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
B, do you have any parting words?
No, I do not. Just continue to braid and band in your new stage because you heard it from Ashley. and because I listen as much as I don't like to do things. Some of the things I listen, these gray hairs are popping out like crazy. I can't wait to get some kind of something in it to cover them up, but I'm going to wait because that makes sense. What the dye can do. So and I appreciate you coming on and educating us, and I feel better that I can get through until I'm supposed to continue to braid and band, because I really look at it as an investment, and I always say I wish I'd done it sooner.
And I compare it when I do consultations to a baby. Like, you birthing a baby, you're at an infant stage, right? So, babies can only have one thing at that stage. And then when you go to a teenager stage, you might be a little bit more lenient to color. Maybe that might be in your 6 months to your year phase, right? You might be able to do a little bit more, but then you become a full-blown adult. Now you just out here, you doing your color, you doing your oils, you just doing, everything you need to do. So I always compare it to that, because then people are like, I guess that these are your babies. Take care of them. Don't get them sick.
Right. Good analogy. I like that.
I do. Okay. So I want to take a minute and thank Mrs. B on the beautiful
Yay, they're so cute.
My gosh.
How one, this is my rainbow tumbler that I have all the time.
Oh my gosh.
Handmade, each stone placed by hand. I mostly use glass stones, rhinestone. So you don't want to drop it. You don't soak it in water to wash it. You just kind of wash it and let it dry. Don't put it, not dishwasher safe or microwavable. Even though I don't think that needs to be said. Sometimes it needs to be said. So yeah, and this is my hobby, soon to be turning business. So
where can we find you on Instagram?
I am B2, the letter B, the number 2, custom creation. And so in my Instagram name is B2_custom creations.
Okay. And I'll link that in the description below as well. So, all right. So we can close out the video. Thank you, family. Comment, like, subscribe, share the video, tell your family and friends. We'll see you on the next video. Bye, family.